morning, everyone. Happy August. Happy Tuesday. So happy to see you all today. Welcome you joining today's class, Financial Fitness Bootcamp, present to you by Marya Diamond. I'm Pauline Lam from Cotai Realty, your 2021 Co-Chair Education Committee, Western Gable Valley Realtors. A friendly reminder, all participants will be muted, and should you have any questions, please enter it into the chat box. Speaker will answer your question during the each Q&A sections. This section is being recorded and will be available on the YouTube channel Western Gable Valley Realtors. Now, I'm so happy to have our Education Committee member, Ms. Narita Gonzalez, to introduce our very special speaker, Ms. Who is a speaker? Miss
Our
Marya.
speaker is Marya Diamond.
Great. Narita, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pauline. Thank you for the opportunity for being here. And thank you, Marya, for being a part of this great event today. She's going to speak about financial fitness, and it's called the Financial Fitness Bootcamp. So some major items she's going to talk about will be taxes, inflation, outliving your money, and will you need long-term care? How do you handle those kind of situations? A little bit about Marya. Marya has been in the financial service industry for over 15 years, and her passion is helping people to plan for their future and having a good life for the rest of their life. She has a business management degree from Pepperdine University and a minor degree in psychology. Marya is very proud to announce she is launching her new book, Financial Fitness, shortly. So you definitely want to go out and get it. I'm sure there's some great material in there to help you. And the floor is yours, Marya.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. I see a lot of pretty faces. Everybody could hear me, I hope. We're good? Yeah? Okay, good. You never know. Thank you for that great introduction, Narita. I hope I said that. We have very unique names. They're all unique. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak today. And my travels and my history in business is extensive, and I know I probably sound like I'm 100 years old, but I started when I was 13. So anyway, my company is called Financial Fitness because my first career, when I started working, I was 17 years young, and I worked in the health club industry. So I ran gyms for a long time. They molded me like a piece of clay. What they really taught me was business and marketing, and I didn't really even know it at the time. I was a trainer for maybe 3 months, and they said, get in there and sell a membership. Don't come out without a contract. And I said, oh my goodness, I don't know how to do that. Well, within 2 years, I was a top producer, and I've stayed in sales all my life, and I absolutely love it because we're all salespeople here, right? And I truly, truly believe in my heart that sales is service. And if you don't feel that way, it's probably not going to be a great profession because it's frustrating. There's ups and downs, but it's so rewarding to give people the help that they need and walk them through the things that they're missing. And sometimes they don't know what they don't know. So my job is to help them find out what they don't know. So Financial Fitness, my book is coming out in September. I'm launching it on Amazon. I will let Fong know so you guys could see. And I couldn't resist. It's a very small paperback, 10 chapters, really good information. A lot of it I will speak about today. And at the end of each chapter, I have one physical fitness tip. Sorry, it's in the blood. I couldn't help it. So anyway, I think it'll be fun. I just want to make it fun. So I thought, do people really need another finance book? How many are there, right? But they're so dry. To me, I've read so many, and a lot of them are excellent. They really are excellent. But I tried to make it a little more interesting. So I like to parallel my financial fitness to physical fitness because it's really the same thing. Are you disciplined to go to the gym in the morning? Do you drink all your water all day? Do you make it a point to put on your tennis shoes and go walking when we couldn't go to the gym? And when I'm in person, I'm sorry, I can't see too many faces, but I always ask who feels very prepared and has peace of mind looking forward to their retirement. Can't see your hands, but hopefully you raised them. Next question is, Pauline did, who would rather have a root canal than talk about finances and retirement? It's not that complicated, but it's just, we get so much information from so many places. And I like to put a different spin on it and make it informative and fun. So what does that mean? I'm sure everybody's heard the old cliche, people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. It's that simple. I mean, failing to plan, and that could mean something very small. Are you putting away $100 a month, or are you drinking your 60 ounces of water? Is it planned every day? Planning is probably the most important aspect of everything that we do, because we can have fantasies and thoughts and goals, but I always say, well, what's the action? What's the activity you're going to do? And I know you guys relate because we're all salespeople. What is like my boss always used to say, what are the revenue producing activities, right? So what activities are you doing towards your planning? So so why do I like working with realtors? Well, first of all, I think you guys are fun. And I am one. Actually, I'm a broker. And I was very, very fortunate. When I left the health club industry, I thought, well, where am I going to work? Where am I going to go? I hadn't got my degree yet. I went to school later and got my degree at night, and I worked very hard for it. And I'm very proud of it. But before that, somebody discovered me, like a famous person, right? I'm a celebrity. You just didn't know it. Um, and he said, why don't you go get your real estate license and I'll put you to work? Well, this happened to be a very, very high-end developer in Newport Beach. I said, yeah, that sounds good. I'll go ahead and do that. And so I got my license. It wasn't that easy. And he said, congratulations, I'm going to put you to work. So I got on a track. So I know I'm a prima donna. You guys used to call us prima donnas. I used to love working with realtors because you brought us a lot of clients to our track. Um, and then I continued and got my broker's license as well. And I happened to be the only broker on staff, which was interesting at the time. So I did that for about 10 years, but I gave up every single weekend. And like you do oftentimes, but that builder wanted me in that chair until that contract was signed on Sunday night. So it was hard to give up every weekend, but I loved it. And so now I like to work with realtors and give back and help them. So we're all self-employed entrepreneurs. And I have worked with a lot of teachers. I have worked with teachers setting up their 403B. I have talked to a lot of people in the private sector and helped them with their 401k. And my main focus, regardless of who I talk to, is to retire with a paycheck. A paycheck. What does that mean? Well, when you're working, you get a paycheck. If you work for someone, you punch a clock, you get a paycheck. It's wonderful. We have a job. I worked for corporate America for a long time. And now when you work for yourself, you sell a home, you close a few escrows, and now you have a paycheck. Well, what about when that paycheck stops? And I put it in simple terms like that because we don't tend to think like that. A paycheck. Yeah, really. What happens? Well, um, other than Social Security. And by the way, I'm a Medicare expert. I got into Medicare about 12 years ago. So anybody who's over 65, I can help you with your Medicare. I'm very good at that. So it's one more thing I added to my, what is it called? The little arrow. Narita, you're smiling, is it?
Yes,
A little
Medicare.
quiver to my arrow. Yes, yes. Arrow to my quiver. Sorry. Yes, yes. So anyway, and a lot of my clients, unfortunately, didn't plan that well, and they're living just on Social Security. Well, it doesn't go very far. So it's unfortunate, but we don't learn about money soon enough. And I have a finance degree from Pepperdine. They didn't teach me the basics about money either. So we learn it from whoever we learn it from. Either they were good at it or they weren't so good at it. Uncle Joe over here told you how to do it, or somebody helped you pick a stock, whatever the case may be. It's not something we're taught. So that's my goal, is to help people think about what will it look like if it's 20, 30, 40 years from now. It will still get here and you will still need money. So I help answer the questions that keeps people up at night, right? What could those questions be? Narita, any questions?
Yeah, I would definitely say something that would keep me up at night would be like, how am I going to still sustain a certain lifestyle when I can no longer, let's say, you know, um, be in real estate anymore, where I'm at a capacity where I'm not able to, do this. What have I done in my life that I can still sustain a certain lifestyle? Because we know that Social Security will not, it's supplemental. It will not take care of you and help you sustain a lifestyle.
That's right. Thank you so much. That's so true. That's exactly what it is. It's about lifestyle. And lifestyle is different for a lot of people, right? I mean, some people want to travel the world when they retire. Other people want to hang out with the grandkids when they retire. Or, and I would say, well, what does retirement look like? Well, it looks like a weekend every day. We play and spend money on weekends, right? We can't wait for Saturday and Sunday, and we earn it. So we want to have fun. I never go out on, especially when I see my little godchildren. I have 4 godchildren. And I'm like, wow, every time I see them, it costs me a lot of money. So even children, so and you want to enjoy those things. Everybody talks about retirement in a positive way, and it should be. It should be. But you got to make it be. You have to think about it and you have to project. Well, what do I want to do? What does it look like? And maybe if you're 35, it's a little difficult to think that far ahead, but maybe not. It doesn't matter. So when I was working with the teachers and the private companies with 401ks, 403b is just another, it's a code that the IRS gave educators. So it's the same as a 401k. Well, you and I, as self-employed entrepreneurs, have to develop our retirement. But would you believe that even though people had the opportunity to take advantage of a 401k, I think it's a total of 33% actually do it, even when there's a matching from the company, a matching. So in other words, if you put in $200 a month, they'll put in 2%, 3, I don't know, it was more before, maybe, it doesn't matter, it depends on the company. They still wouldn't take advantage of it. And do you know why? You'd be surprised to know how many people don't even know that their companies offer this. Especially my teachers, I would say, you're in good shape because you're going to have a pension when you retire. And I would do the math for them. I have a software that will determine their finances when they retire. But I go, you're taking advantage of your 403b. Well, what is that? What is that? So it's not their fault. They just didn't know. So even a 401k, most people have heard of a 401k. They know what it is. And you get a stack of paper this high when you get hired and you pick your insurance plan. And it's a little overwhelming. They give you too much information, of course. But it's like, well, I'll do it later. I meet with people that are in their 40s making a lot of money, excess of 6 figures, and they don't have a 401k. I go, well, are you getting a pension when you retire? Well, no. Okay, well then let's start. So as individuals, we have to take care of it ourselves. And that's why I have a passion for working with people that are self-employed and working with realtors. So the questions, and that's sustaining your lifestyle, that's so important. And these things that come up, we call them risks. Okay, so, and in the beginning, narrator, you said about the risks. First, you have to know what those risks are. What are the risks that you're facing? There's 4 major ones. The first one is risk of inflation. Why would that be a risk? Well, first of all, we can't control it. Have you gone to the grocery store lately? Things have gotten up. Costs have gone up on everything. It's for transportation. Oil is expensive. You have to look at why even though we know it's going to continue to be that way. And risk of sequential returns, which means when you have a nest egg, let's say you retire and you're 71, just pick a random age. And you start taking money out, and a sequential returns, meaning you take so much money out each month to live on to complement your Social Security, and hopefully there's enough of it. There's a risk as to how to do it. My gosh, there's so many opinions about it. So let's say you have 200,000, takes a little more than that. Let's say $500,000 in the market or in your retirement account, your IRA, whatever it is. First of all, there's qualified money and non-qualified money. What does that mean? qualified money is qualified by the government to defer the taxes, which means you put away money today in your IRA. Let's say you say, I'm going to put away $500 a month every month. That's a great number. Okay, 1,000 to whatever you could. And when you retire and you start taking the money out, remember that money will be taxed. That's called deferred taxes. The taxes are being put off. So that's qualified by the government. Non-qualified, that's another scenario. Non-qualified is, it has nothing to do with the government. You can put money away as much as you want. Oh, and by the way, there is a limit as to how much you could put away with government qualified money because they have a ceiling. If you're SEPs are self-employed people, so you could put away a little more. But an IRA is, what is it today, 7,000 a year? Okay, great. If you work, let's say 20 more years, what's that? 14,000, no, wait, 140,000. It's not a lot of money. Wait, that's not, I'm sorry. I thought I was a math major. Anyway, whatever that number is, it's not enough, especially if you're trying to get to 1 million, right? So let's do the math quickly. Let's say you put,
128,
thank you,
right?
7,000. Okay. So yeah, thank you, Narita. Yeah, 7 times
7
20
times
years.
8, 7 times, yeah, 7.
So it's 140,
9.
right? Let's see.
No, it's 7 times 4 is 8, 7, 8, 9, what, 90?
It's 140. It's 140. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So let's say you want, I'm using my calculator here real quick.
Well, while you're doing that, I'd like
yes, please interrupt me.
Could you explain a little bit more about IRA? Because, sure. I don't know if we all understand what that is. How do you get one? What are the benefits? How old do you have to be to pull the money out so that you won't be taxed? If you have information on that, that probably would all help us understand a little better.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much, because I touched on it lightly, and I'm going on to the qualified and non-qualified, but that's an excellent question. An IRA, yes, it is regulated by the IRS, so you cannot touch it before 59 and a half. So if you put away, let's say you put away $500 a month and you've put away, let's see, to times 10 years and you have $60,000. They go, oh, well, let's say you're 51 and you have a crisis. Oh my God, I need to get my money out of my IRA. I beg people, please don't do it. Don't take it out of your IRA, because there are penalties, number one, by the IRS, and then you pay taxes on that money as well. And believe it or not, it ends up being 50% that you'll get. So I tell them, please find any other way other than that, unless you absolutely have to. So 59 and a half is the soonest. And it used to be 70 and a half RMD, required minimum distribution, but I think they bumped it up to 72 now because people are working longer. So that same money you could leave alone till you're 72. And an IRA it's an independent retirement account. That's what it's called, and IRA, independent retirement account. And we set it up ourselves because we're self-employed. It's just like a 401k, a 403b, an IRA is independent. So you have to set it up yourselves. And there are a lot of many different ways you could do that. You could do the stock market, you could put it in fixed products, you could do with life insurance, which is a great product because with life insurance, you'll build a nest egg that's tax-free income and you'll protect your family as well. I'll get to that in a second. Did that help answer the question?
Yeah, I think it helps us a little more to understand what's IRA. Okay. So IRA, yes. You're saying IRA is it's not a non-qualified, because you said you put them in 2 categories. So what category is IRA in?
IRA is qualified, a pre-tax dollars, yes.
And what does that mean when you say qualified versus non?
Okay, thank you. I didn't finish the sentence. Yes, qualified means that it's pre-tax, which means let's say you take home $10,000 a year and you put away $2,000 a year. So that's a year, I'm so sorry, $2,000 per month. And that means when you go to your CPA and he goes, oh, you earned 120,000 this year. Oh, I see. You put 10,000 in your, or 20,000, whatever. Let's say easy numbers. You earned 100,000. You put 10,000 in your IRA. You get taxed on 90,000. So what qualified money does today, which isn't a bad thing, it gives you a break on your taxes. So you pay less taxes by taking advantage of the 401k or the IRA. Does that make sense? So you're lowering your tax base today, but when you retire, you're going to pay those taxes later. So that's what an IRA is. When you're 72 and you start taking money out of your qualified account, you will pay the taxes at that time. Well, there's a lot of theories on that. So do you want to wait 10, 20 years and take the money out and pay higher tax? Does anybody think taxes are going down? I haven't heard that yet. I don't think so. Most likely go up. So it's good to have a little balance. It doesn't hurt to have a balance. It just depends on your circumstance, of course. I'm talking in big generalities here. Did that answer the question? Narada? Yeah.
Yes. I
Yeah.
understand. I'm just
Good,
kind
good.
of throwing in questions. No one's
Thank
asking
you.
questions yet, but I'm kind of throwing things just that, if I
Because
don't
other people are thinking the same thing. So I appreciate it. Yes,
yeah.
thank you. This is why I like to interact rather than talk to myself. Look at my picture. Anyway, so that's the money. So you could put away money after tax dollars. You don't have to put away in an IRA. You could put it away in different accounts. So that's the different opportunities for putting money away. So here's another risk that people don't think about, a longevity risk. Longevity. If you have longevity in your family, you could live, well, most people now, they say if you live to 65, you're in pretty good health, you better plan for 30 years of retirement income. That's a long time. So that's another thing. And why is it a risk? Well, the risk is you might run out of money. So try not to, right? Build it where you could think, okay, I'll anticipate working this long and or saving this much or whatever. You have to have a plan, sketch it out. And then, of course, the last and my favorite, I cut my teeth on long-term care insurance. And that is, of course, I'm sure everybody here at least might have heard of long-term care. It's an insurance product and that you're transferring the risk to the insurance company. So if you ever need care, I'm sure somebody on this group that is in our group today has had an experience of someone that needed to be cared for, right? It's insurance to pay for your care when you can no longer take care of yourself. And it's a very important product because it could erode retirement savings very quickly. So let's say you're married and your spouse gets sick and he needs care for 6 years and the care costs average in California 80,000 a year. That could drain all your assets because if you have assets, you have to pay for it out of your pocket. I hear many people telling me, well, I'll just have Medi-Cal. First of all, you don't want Medi-Cal. I mean, you haven't worked all your life to get Medi-Cal, and absolutely they should help. If people don't have money, yes, Medi-Cal will help. But you have assets, you want to protect those assets. And for pennies on the dollar, you could do that with long-term care. Do you have a question about long-term care at all? No, you do?
Well, long-term care, how would, okay, so let's say, my daughter, I don't want my daughter to have to think about and be financially responsible. We hear so many times, we become in a place where we're in conservatorship and our houses, for instance, in conservatorship. So you have to sell the house to care for your parents' long-term care, the house you grew up in or whatnot. So my question would be, what are some of the things, or maybe other people would be, what are some of the things like we can do now to prepare so that our children are not paying for our funerals, our long-term care, any kind of major medical expenses that we have, so that we can, one, not just sustain lifestyle, but, receive a quality of care that would, allow us to live a longer life and still be interactive with perhaps our grandchildren. I mean, I'm not a grandma or anything, but I'm trying to think ahead in the future.
Sure, no, that's great, absolutely. And see, that's what long-term care does. And so you have a daughter, you have children.
Yes.
You have a daughter. Okay. So when, the biggest reason people get long-term care is they don't want to be a burden on their family. And a lot of cultures, like I'm Greek, so our culture is, well, we're going to take care of our family. We're not sending them anywhere. Well, that is great intention, but the love lasts about 6 weeks. And I've seen it in my own family. It is not pretty. If someone is ill, first of all, you're emotionally upset with that person because you love them. You can't lift them. I'm talking about lifting somebody, bathing them, feeding them, dressing them. Oh, and by the way, you have children? Okay, so who are you going to take care of? It's very, very difficult. So that's why one of the things that is most important is to have the long-term care insurance, or you have to use your own money. So there's really, that's the protection. The protection is that you have to be covered. Or there's really either you pay it out of your pocket, you get long-term care insurance, and sometimes people say, "Well, I'll just transfer my money to my kids and I'll protect it." Okay, if you have a look back period by the IRS for 5 years, they'll say, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, wait a minute. Did you do this within 5 years?" It is not easy. I have heard one of everything. I'm going to get my gun and I'm going to end my life. I'm like, really? What if you can't get to the gun? I mean, really? People say things like that. I know it's a joke, but it isn't a pretty conversation. But there aren't any other options. Either you get long term. I had a client call me yesterday. She's 70. And she says, I decided I should get long-term care. I said, well, why'd you wait so long? 70, it's okay. As long as you're healthy, you could get it. You qualify with your health to get long-term care. You cannot buy it if you're not in good health. I said, are you in good health? And she goes, oh yeah, I'm fine. Then she proceeds to tell me she's got stage 3 kidney disease. I said, oh, did you forget that part? I mean, I don't think I could qualify. You have to think like an insurance company. Put your insurance cap on and say, is this a good risk for me to cover? I'm going to have to pay out thousands of dollars in another year or so because this lady's going to need it. Sorry, you're declined. So I don't have all the answers, but I have all the suggestions. So I always say the sweet spot is in your 50s. People don't really deal with long-term care when they're much younger. In people's 50s, their parents are getting older. Now they might be taking care of a parent or a grandparent, and they're going, uh-oh, what about me? That's when it hits home. It's actually better also because it's less expensive, and most likely you'll qualify with your health. You cannot buy long-term care. Your money doesn't buy it. Your health buys it. Your money pays for it. And there's no other options. And that's it, um, yeah, I hope that answered the question.
Well, there's some more questions here. It says, can you explain how to set up a retirement with life insurance and how to make your IRA for long-term care?
Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm not looking. Are you looking at the chat for me? Thank you, Narada. Well, I know this is educational, but you can contact me anytime and I'll walk you through that. There's a lot of different avenues. It isn't a one size fits all, and there's a lot of different products. So sorry, I don't, there are long-term care companies. You kind of have to find somebody that knows how to set those up. And that's why I talk to realtors, because you guys are independent and you don't have an HR department. Well, maybe you do. I don't know. It sounds like a big group, so you might. I don't know if that answered the question. You could Google it online and find out some more information, or you can text me, call me, or I'll give you my email at the end if you want to reach out.
Well, can you put your information maybe in the chat box right now?
Yes, sure. I will. I was going to do it at the end. Yeah, absolutely. I'll do it right now. I'm so sorry. I should have done it sooner. Marya.
And so you're saying that they can reach out to you if they would like specifics on long-term care, retirement. You're kind of just giving an overview of ideas.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's all I could do. I'm so sorry. I put my email address after and my phone number. You could text me, call me, anything. Yes, absolutely. Because these things are this is an overview. I mean, when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, there's so much more information. And I didn't think I'd have enough information to talk for an hour. I'd probably talk for 4 hours and not be done. But you'll be bored and you don't want to hear all that. But yeah, there's a lot of really, really great avenues to do that with, with long-term care, with life insurance, with tax-free income. There's some fabulous products. And by the way, I just want to tell you, I've been doing this 15 years. And I always tell people, when somebody's trying to promote something or make sure they own the product, I own everything I'm talking about, just to let you know. You can't be authentic. And you say, well, I think you should get it, but oh no, I don't have one of those. So I truly believe in these products. These things are I've seen too much disaster in my 15 years. People do what they can. And here's the bottom line. It always boils down to one thing, and that's our budget. Okay, our budget. That's really where it comes from. But there's ways to work around things. You won't believe the money I find when I sit down with somebody. Oh, So how many times do you go to? I'm kidding. Okay. Anyway, so your biggest wealth building tool is your ability to earn an income, right? That's our biggest wealth. So this is funny. I always say, I hope I answered all the questions so far. Am I good?
Yeah, that's just the question, I guess, Joanna wants to know, is it doable? So you're saying that
Oh.
long-term care with IRA, you have a product, you personally not just endorse it, but it's something you use yourself, and
Yes.
it is doable to have long-term care using either an IRA or some kind of life insurance, I think she said.
Yes, yes, you mean doable? Yeah, there's a lot of companies, absolutely. And IRA is separate from long-term care, separate from life insurance. However, life insurance today, it's evolved quite a bit. There are wonderful products out there. You could build long-term care riders with a guaranteed income. It's amazing. Those products are wonderful. And IRA is something you set up for your future. That's so. Yes, you don't mingle those two, but you could, does that sound like a familiar word, commingle? Don't commingle, I remember that one. Um, uh, like life insurance, non-qualified, tax-free income, those things can be bundled up. And there's some wonderful products out there that work very well together, yes. So here's the basics. Do you ever listen to those Sunday morning commercials that say, hey, I'm driving down to church or doing something, I'm going to wash my car. And, if you take this pill, you'll relieve all your arthritis and it'll be so good and blah, blah, blah. And they promote these products, it's like an infomercial. And I go, And I always think, well, what about the rest of the story? Right? Okay, so you can't keep driving through Taco Bell and not drinking water, not taking your vitamins, the basics, right? So, and my analogy with financial fitness is the same. Start with the basics. A lot of things I don't do because I'm not an attorney. 9 times out of 10, when I sit down with somebody, I will say, do you have property? Do you have it? Yes. Do you have children? Yes. Do you have a living trust? No. Unbelievable how many people I talked to that the other day. And I'm not an attorney. I just think everybody should have one that has property. And I have a wonderful lady that does that. But I'm not an attorney, but I offer it. I tell people this is one of the things you must do. Because if you don't have it and you pass away, everything goes to probate. That's going to be tied up for a couple of years. And it's also very expensive. Probate is very expensive to untangle. The other thing is if you have young children, do you have guardianship papers? What if something happens to you and your husband at the same time? Who's going to have the kids? I sat in front of my niece and her husband about 6 months ago, and they have 2 boys, my babies. And I go, so do you guys have guardianship papers? It just kind of brought up, well, no, but Uncle Nate's taking them, my nephew's brother. I go, really? Is that in writing? Because I think the state has a different plan. The state will come in and they will take care of the kids and they will put them in. I mean, it's not pretty and people don't think about things like this. So it's not always pretty, but at least I bring it up. And I'm not an attorney. I can't do guardianship papers, but I highly recommend people have them. Just things that, do you have a directive? If you become ill, who's going to step in and speak for you when you can't speak for yourself? They sound so basic. So that's what I mean by the basics. Are you drinking your water? COVID and everybody's afraid. And yes, we should be, and we should be careful. But are you drinking your water? Are you sleeping 9 hours a night? Are you taking your vitamins? These are all basics, right? So the foundation first the foundation. So protection first. So protection first. When I talk about saving money and having an IRA and all those things are wonderful, but do you have your life insurance in place? If something happens to you, will your children be able to keep the lifestyle they have? Will they be able to stay in their home? My sweetie, who's from Tennessee, his dad died when he was 9 years old, massive heart attack. And his mom had to raise 3 boys. She was a nurse and she became a head nurse, but she was gone all day. Thank God they lived in Tennessee. Can you imagine raising 3 boys? And when he was 12, he'd get up at 4:30 in the morning and have a paper route, not because he wanted to get up at 4:30 in the morning as a 12-year-old, and then he had to go to school. And it wasn't easy. And all they had was a simple little $1,000 policy at the time. If they had even $100,000 policy on their father, and we're talking a long time ago, 40 years ago. If he had even a small 100,000, their lives would be so different. And this is one of the things that people just don't want to address. I don't know why. I guess people don't want to talk about their mortality. But if you have a family, it's important. Like even if you have a small term, there's different, I don't want to use too many terms, but term and whole life, all these different things you throw out there. The bottom line is, what is your budget and where are you with it? And I start from there. There's a lot of different ways to do it, and it doesn't have to be the most expensive. You can evolve and, you know, you could grow into it. And then 5 years from now, you have more money, you can get a more expensive account and so on. But remember, life insurance is also something you have to qualify for with your health. So I got a policy from my cousin about 9 years ago. He's got a year left. He's very overweight. He loves to eat. Well, he was rated like 8 times. It was so ridiculously expensive. He has a lot of money and he can afford it. And guess what? He's, oh, I'm going to just lose weight, get a bigger. He's about the same weight. I don't think I could qualify him for a better policy. At least he has this one for 5 million, but it's going away in a year. So it doesn't matter. At least he had it and he's built his wealth. And sometimes you can't qualify. Sometimes there, you know, I'm not saying doom and gloom. There's always ways to get it. And they'll rate you higher. You could pay more money and you could get a policy. But again, you want to do it while you're in good health.
Well, I guess a
Yes.
question maybe would be for life insurance. So
Yes.
a lot of people think about life insurance, 50, 60. Oh no, I need life insurance, So what age would you recommend to actually start looking, speaking of not just having health issues, pre-existing conditions and items like that, what age is a good age to start getting life insurance so that you find yourself 50 and 60 and you're not paying these enormous amounts of, what do you call it?
Right.
Policy
Oh,
fees to have life insurance. So what
premiums.
is a good age to start doing that so you can continuously have a life insurance policy, maybe even a life insurance policy that's also like a bank where everything you put into the policy, eventually you can get back as a retirement of some kind. What type of life insurance policies are out there?
Well, I didn't pay you to say this, did I? I
No,
just met you. Oh my gosh, you're asking
I'm
all the right.
curious.
I love
I'm just
it.
very curious.
Oh, good. Well, I love it because everybody on the call, I'm sure, has the same questions, even though they're muted, right? So no, that's wonderful. And you just described a whole life policy when you could. That's what I was saying. There are products out there that are wonderful. Their whole life means it covers you for your whole life. To answer the first question about what is a good age, well, if somebody's 30 and has a child or 2 children, hopefully they have life insurance in place. So the sooner the better. And even if they don't have children, they can get that whole life and just build it. They can have a $1 million retirement account tax free because the whole life policies that are like their whole life, they're not term. A term is for a period of time. It's for 20 years, for 15 years, and then it goes away. So it's very inexpensive. So if somebody doesn't have a lot of money and they're young, of course they should have a term policy. If they can afford $30, $40 a month, great. If you can afford more, if you could see into the future and you can afford a whole life policy and stash money in there, and see, that's one of the things we all know we're going to need. We're all going to pass away someday. We don't all know we're going to need long-term care, though. That's an if, right? Or my crystal ball is foggy, so I left it at the office. But you could build long-term care into this whole life policy, and you have a tax-free income as well. And if none of those things happen, your heirs will get the money. And guess what? That is probably the biggest peace of mind product people get from me because it kind of covers everything. Because one of the biggest objections I would get with long-term care is, well, what if I never need it? I go, I don't know. Let me think about it. What if you never have an accident? Are you going to cancel your car insurance? No, you would never do that. Your chances of needing long-term care are greater than having a car accident, by the way. So, but sometimes I think that's not good enough. I don't want to pay 3,000, 4,000 a year and get nothing back. So the life policy covers that. It covers tax-free income, it covers your family, and then you could live your life and have your retirement assets in place. It's not that complicated. It is so much easier than people realize. It really is, but they just don't know. This is why I do these seminars. I love talking to groups. At least you have the information, and what you do is up to you, but at least you have an idea now of it. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, Nanette wants to ask what types of life insurance would be recommended, and yeah.
That's Nanette. That's a good question. It's such a personal thing, though. Like I was saying earlier, I recommend whatever you need. Okay, there's like so many different ways to get. It depends on your age. It depends on what your circumstances. It depends on your budget. But you could start with term if you feel like, well, I kind of want to build a tax-free income for myself. I love that idea. Great, we could do the whole life. And again, it's a very individual thing, and it boils down to money. What can you afford? It's all based on your age and how big the policy is. There's two things. And can you get it health wise? So I don't know if that answers the question. I'm all over the place, but really there's no one size fits all for anyone. But I want to tell you a little story that a lady I ran, she was so funny. She was an office manager at a school, and I'll just call her Rose. Um, and she says, Marya, please come to they have 6 children. Her husband's the main breadwinner. I go, you want me to come to your house on a Sunday? Okay, I will. I drove from Yorba Linda to Lakewood, where she lives, at 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. I walk in, really cute little family, and there were about 4 of her kids there, and they all had cell phones. Well, I brought my term policy with me. They couldn't afford a lot. They didn't have a lot of money. And so I brought the policy, and I laid it out for her, and I go, it's a 20-year policy to protect you while you're not working. You have 6 children. And the premium was $38 a month. And she goes, oh, $38? She says, I thought you said 34. And I'm looking around going, I go, Rose, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 2 kids missing, and I see 6 cell phones, including you and your husband. What does that cost you every month? I think I made my point with her. She goes, oh, you're right. See what I mean? People have priorities mixed up sometimes. I said, I don't know how much you're paying for all these cell phones, and you don't have life insurance to protect yourself. If your husband stops working tomorrow, he goes away, what's going to happen to you? So, I mean, we were laughing at that point. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. I said, it's okay. I said, life insurance is something we don't want to talk about. So anyway, that was kind of a funny story. So financial planners love to talk about building wealth, accumulation, that's a great idea. But here is what the most important part about building wealth is: distribution. What's going to happen when it's time to get the money out and live on this money? We talked about this earlier, but at retirement, distribution is when you're going to be taking the money out. So aside from plan, you can never plan enough, of course, and there are a lot of variables that we don't know, but you have to plan well enough. So my point is protection first, then we could talk about accumulation. Does that make sense, Narita? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does.
Protect yourself first. Protect yourself with what? Life insurance, living trust, all those things, And by all means, don't wait to start an IRA tomorrow. Start it yesterday if we could turn the clock back. I don't care if you put $100 a month in. And I tell people, just start it, because the activity of doing it will just get you in the habit. If you haven't done it, just start something. I don't care, even if it's a savings account. Well, don't put it there because you can take it out. Put it in a vehicle where you're building, and you'll feel so good about yourself. It's empowering to take charge of your life, isn't it? You guys work so hard.
We do. And I do have, if you don't mind if I interrupt and ask one question here.
No, anytime. Interrupt me, please.
So what would you say are 3 important factors in building wealth?
After all the protection?
Well, I mean, no, just would you say the whole life insurance policy, the one that, when you retire, you'll be able to get what you put in, some of that back. I mean, what are some of 3 as a financial, fitness boot camp? What are the 3 things that we should consider in building wealth?
Well, number one is start an IRA, because and this is what I do for my clients, you start it automatically where you just set it up. And believe I'm an entrepreneur too. I'm self-employed. I have it set up. I call it a false source of no, false sense of scarcity, because it goes from one pocket to the other pocket. That's what you want to do, right? So you set it up, and so you get the company, whatever company you choose, to put the money into the account. So naturally the money has to be in the account, because when you have a 401k with a company, they'll do it automatically from your paycheck. It's a no-brainer. That's why I'm shocked that 33% of the people take advantage of it. 33. So set it up automatically.
Okay.
And they go to your checking account every month, take the money out, and they put it into the fund that you tell them to put it in. And then the life insurance part, if you have a family, absolutely. Well, that probably should be first, actually, before the IRA, because if you don't have any life insurance, life happens, right? So start the life, and you could do the one where you could build tax-free income also, and forget about the IRA if you don't want to do the IRA. Because what's the difference? And we talked about this a little earlier. With an IRA, you're going to have to pay the taxes 20, 30 years, whenever that happens, right? But the life insurance, it's guaranteed. You have life insurance and you have tax-free income you could take out anytime. So there's no taxes down the road. You don't get the tax break today. You can't have it both ways, right? So if you have the IRA, you could reduce it from your total income and pay less taxes today. But with a tax-free income, you pay the taxes now, but you take it out tax-free later. I don't know, maybe that tells
Which
me.
taxes are going up, so that may be a
That's
good
right.
option, because
That's
then
right.
the future value of your money is greater at that point.
Absolutely, because it'll shrink 40, maybe 50%. I don't know. I mean, I listen to Susie Orman. I'm sure everybody here knows Susie Orman. She's a big believer in long-term care, and she's a big believer in taking care of after-tax dollars, because she says, look, we're going to pay more taxes. It's not going to be less, no matter how you slice it. So if you're in the 30, 40% tax bracket now, let's say you're in the 50 by the time you retire, and you've accumulated $1 million, just remember that's 500,000. It's not a million, because half of it's going to Uncle Sam, and you got the tax break now. So when IRA started and 401k started back in the 80s, the government was really looking out for themselves too, weren't they? They're like, well, put all this money away. Guess what? We're going to get more money back.
In the
So
future.
in the future. So it's all good. I mean, it's better to do that than do nothing, but you have to weigh all that out. And I always say balance is the best. If you could do both, perfect.
What's a third takeaway that you feel we absolutely should do to create these factors in building wealth or financial fitness?
Well, from all the things that I've talked about, hopefully people are taking notes, or whatever is important to you first. What is the most important thing? Some people are struggling and they maybe not have the money to look at all these different things. And some people are curious, they're not sure what it'll cost. And think about what you think is the most important thing to you first. But I think building wealth has to start somewhere. So start now, regardless of what vehicle you use. Start building wealth now, because someday is not a day on the calendar. Right? There's no
Someday
someday.
never happens sometimes, right?
It never happens. I know, like people are like, yeah, I'll start it, like, well, when is now a good time to start? Right. So I think taking it like an assessment. You guys are busy selling real estate. You're busy. You have a family. You have children. You're being pulled from every different direction. And I understand that. That's why when I show up, people go, oh my God, I forgot to think about that. Of course you did. It's not forefront on your mind, but you got to sit down 10 minutes. Doesn't have to be a whole weekend, and just say, where am I with these finances of mine? I'm sure when you talk to people about buying homes and qualifying for loans, you have these discussions all the time. Right? Don't you? I mean, you don't say, do you have life insurance, by the way, but you help them with their finances. You help them qualify, where they're going to get the money from, and so on. So take inventory first of where you are, and then text me or call me. I guess I can give you more information. Did
So
that
could
help?
you remind us your book, the title of your book, and when is it coming out?
Yes, it's called Financial Fitness, of all things. I think I might cheat and show you. I have a copy, and I don't want to promote it. I want it to get way up there. I don't know if you could see it. Maybe oh, there, look. It's a little paperback. And there's me on the back. And a lot of it is just 10 chapters, 10 steps to get into excellent financial shape is what it talks about. And it talks about all the things I just talked about. The things that are important in life, right? So I really like Susie Orman. There aren't that many people doing what I do. There are a lot of financial advisors and they're very smart and they're good at growing your money, but it's not in their control. So when I got out of Pepperdine, I went to Merrill Lynch for 5 minutes. Truly, I did. And I was going to work for them. And I said, you know, I knew that I don't like a lot of risk. I'm very conservative with money. I said, if I lost $100 of your money, I would lose sleep at night. I know that about myself. So I don't want to work in the securities division. Securities are stocks, mutual funds. They're all good, but there's no control. My motto is, if I can't use the G word, which means guaranteed, I won't do it. So I'm different than most financial planners. And that's why I wrote the book, to let people know, hey, there's other things other than growing wealth. You've got, a lot of financial planners send me business for long-term care, for life insurance. They don't want to do those, which is okay. Everybody finds their niche. The thing, my argument is that nobody controls the market. They don't, nobody does. I mean, it's doing great now. I understand the market very well, but it may not do that great. So it just depends. Do you have a stomach for it? If you leave your money alone, it'll be okay. But what happens is people get nervous, they start yanking money out, and it drives the market down. It's not rocket science, right? But I would be nervous too if I had money in there and I was losing it. So,
So you have a very conservative approach to, the product that you offer.
very conservative, yes. I can always say you could gauge your retirement with me. You can't gauge it that well with the stock market. That's my opinion. It's a disclaimer. I mean, people love this. I have a girlfriend that she does very well. She has a lot of money. She loves the stock market. She just sank $100,000 into something. I said, well, keep an eye on it. I don't think it's bad. I think if you can afford, I always say, just put the money in there that you can afford to lose. And people go, what? I don't want to lose any money. Well, do you win every time in Vegas? No, you're guessing. Now the market's a lot safer, of course, but you just have to watch it and keep an eye on it. But I've met so many people that would hand me their statement and wouldn't open their statement. I'll go, hey, this is your money. You need to open your statement. Don't give it to me. When the market was going down, I go, you need to have a handle on it. And if you're going to be in the market, study it, understand where your money is going, So anyway, that's my opinion for what it's worth. But I like the G word. I'm
The
boring.
guarantee. Which
Guarantee.
means what you're saying is like what you are proposing here are items that are long term,
Yes.
right? So it's not anything instant. It's long term, and you're saying you can guarantee over the long term that you're going to, whether it's IRA or a whole life policy or whatever other choice you decide to make, you're going to definitely feel the impact when you need it as a supplement to whatever other kind of retirement you put together.
Yes, that's exactly right. You could gauge your retirement. You could say, I'm going to have this much here, and I'm going to have this much here, I'm going to have that much there. Hey, I've never gotten a call in 15 years from anyone telling me, hey, where's my $100,000? Where did it go? I don't want those calls. Thank you. So you can gauge meaning you could plan your retirement. You could say, okay, I'm 50. I'm going to retire at 65, have 15 years. Oh, maybe I'll push it to 70. Should have started sooner. It doesn't matter. This is how much I will have, roughly. It varies a little bit, of course, but yes, I could use the G word, guaranteed. And hey, guess what? I want to have peace of mind and I want to sleep well at night. I stress out when my clients are not happy. I don't want them calling me. They're happy most of the time. Medicare sometimes has some questions, but that's insurance. It's health insurance people need. But nobody here is on Medicare. You guys are all too young, I could tell. I could tell some of them. So are people just on the phone? Are they traveling or they just don't want to show their pretty faces?
They're on Zoom. Some are Zoom. There's a couple that were on the phone.
There's Nanette. Hi, Nanette. That's great. It's cool. I'm getting used to this Zoom thing. It's a little awkward with Zoom because, well, you could see me, of course, but hi, Rosara. What a pretty name, Rosara. But anyway, I'm so comfortable. I could do this in my sleep. Obviously I've done it long enough. So yeah.
So I don't have
Yes.
any more questions here. So I guess I would, I did ask, when is your book coming out, by the way?
Oh, yes, yes. I'm so sorry. I'm looking at something. Oh my God, it's almost, am I almost done? We did
Yeah.
good. Thank you, Narita.
Yeah,
Thanks
we're
to you.
wrapping it up.
My book, it will be launched in September on Amazon, and I will email you guys and let you know, and you can help me because I have to promote it all at once so that it'll get up on the bestseller or whatever. It's not an epic novel. It's a little paperback, but the information it's fun and it's easy to read, and it's really all the things I talked about today.
Well, I assume it goes into a little more detail, also as well. We're all busy, so we don't have time for epic novels. Well, I'll speak for myself. Like, I don't have time for
Me
an
neither.
epic
I know. I'm
novel,
on YouTube. Yeah, of course.
Something that just gives us what we need as far as information and allows us to make a choice for, our financial wealth, our future.
Yes, absolutely. Of course. Well, it's generic information. It never pinpoints but then you have to find the people that work with that know these products, of course. But yes, my goal was to make it fun and interesting, add a few physical fitness tips because I couldn't resist, and make it fun. When I was writing, I thought, do people really need another finance book? I'm like, yep, they do. They need mine because they haven't read mine, and mine has a different twist to it. And it took me a long time let me tell you, this little teeny book drained my energy. It's not that easy to write a book, but it was really fun, and it's my baby, and I'm really proud of it. And I hope people read it and get some good information. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. I don't have any more questions here, so I give the floor. If you're finished, I'll give the floor over to Pauline.
Yes, I'm completely finished. Thank you for your help. It was really nice.
Thank you so much. It was so informative.
Thank you. Good. Thank you, Pauline.
Thank you. Before we wrap up, I would like to still open the stage for our audience. Nanette,
Okay.
Nanette, do you have any question to ask, or anyone still have some question to asking? You want to talk, Nanette? Fang, can you unmute Nanette? I know she will have some question to ask.
Okay. Hi, Nanette.
Hi, Marya. Thank you for the presentation. I was
very welcome.
thinking about contacting you to ask this question. You had mentioned earlier with the types of life insurance recommended, it depends on age. And I wanted to ask, like, why it depended on age? Like, what are some scenarios and examples that you can provide where it depends on age? So,
that's a good question. Sure. Well, I always think about wearing an insurance hat, right? So we could all put our insurance hat on and say, let's see, is Nanette a good risk to take on for life insurance? Is Pauline, is Narita, am I? The way insurance companies think, and they have actuaries that pay a lot of money to get the numbers right for their mortality tables. So if you're 30 years old, compared to somebody that's 60 years old, the premiums are going to be 2-3 times as high. Why? Because a 30-year-old is going to live a lot longer than a 60-year-old. So they're based on your age, mostly. And then it depends. Do you want a $500,000 policy? Do you want $1 million policy? So that is an example. This is way off the top of my head. A 30-year-old could get $1 million policy for $150 a month. A 60-year-old could get $1 million policy for probably closer to $1,500. So there's a huge difference, because it's based on the mortality tables by the insurance companies. And that's the same for all life insurance, long-term care, all of those things. They base it on your age and the size of the policy. Did that answer your question?
Yes, I was just wondering, I had a friend where she had her dad got her an insurance policy when she was really young, like a teenager.
Yeah, that's
it was
good.
a term. So I was guessing that if it was a term insurance and it was based on age, if she was that young, would you say then a term insurance is something for someone that young?
Well, yeah, I've seen a lot of those policies, by the way. People buy policies there for young ages, and sometimes they do it for college education to build cash in it. I mean, it's amazing. But somebody that young, I wouldn't sell a term policy to. Why? Because like, let's say somebody's 20, 25, I would put them in a whole life policy because it's going to be so inexpensive and those premiums will stay the same forever. So if somebody's 25 and now they're 65, 40 years later, they've accumulated a ton of money in that policy. Tax-free income to take out for whatever they want to do with it. No questions asked. They can go to college, buy a house, whatever they want, retirement. So when they're that young, a term is for a period of time. So it goes away after a while. Why would a 12-year-old need a term policy? That's a weird, are you sure
it was
term?
the only one I knew that had it. And then when she was older, her dad said, okay, now you continue to pay it now that you're working.
Well, then it's probably not term. If she's continuing to pay it, it didn't go away. Term goes away after a term period, a period of time. It might be whole life. So if it is whole life, something that lasts forever, she could pick up the premiums now. When she was 12, it could be $50 a month, right? And now, and still she's, let's say 25 and it's $30 a month. I mean, $50 a month. And then she's 60, it's still $50 a month. But it sounds like whole life. It doesn't sound like term.
Okay.
Term goes away after a period of time.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Marya.
Thank you, ladies. You guys are great.
Wonderful section.
I appreciate your time. And
we do benefit and learn a lot from it. If you have
good.
any questions regarding how to make your financial into a fitness status and having a peace of mind, please contact Marya directly. And I believe she will be more than happy to help you to have a detailed discussion and you make your plan as early as possible. Just start it right now under your budget, right? Take action.
That's right. That's right. Let's get a snapshot of where you are.
Right. On behalf of West and Gabriel Valley Realtors, we would like to thank Marya Diamond.
Thank you, Pauline. That's perfect.
For your wonderful, informative presentation. A quick reminder, next Tuesday, how to make money. Join our commercial class, how to make money through the ADU routes. And next Monday and Tuesday, August 16 and 17, don't miss out. Free 2 days classes, Green Destination by NAR. This is a free benefit for our board. And even though we do the free classes for November, join us together. Thank you again, Marya, Narita, Fong, and all of you for joining today's class. And we'll see you next Tuesday at noon 12. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.